You were told that boredom meant something was wrong, a sign of stagnation, a lull between meaningful moments. But what if it's the opposite? What if boredom isn't the absence of purpose, but the arrival of something deeper, just beyond perception? An unseen frequency not yet shaped into form. You may have felt that eerie stillness before a major shift when inspiration fades. Time slows, and the outer world turns to static. It feels like suspension, but it's gestation. That silence is the universe drawing breath. The quieter life becomes, the louder the field speaks. Less stimulation means more potential. We've been trained to believe that only motion creates transformation, that doing equals progress. Yet the quantum field doesn't move by force. It reorganizes through alignment. Stillness is not regression, it's recalibration. Imagine a seed buried underground. To the surface eye, nothing happens. But inside the dark, codes awaken, roots reach, energy gathers. Boredom is that sacred soil, the uncomfortable in-between where identity unravels. You're no longer who you were, not yet who you're becoming. It terrifies the ego because here there are no roles to play, no noise to hide behind. Most run from this threshold, chasing dopamine, information, validation. But that escape only delays the inevitable shift. It's not that your desires are missing, it's that you haven't been still enough to receive them. The field responds to coherence, not urgency. And nothing tunes you more precisely than the ache of doing nothing when every old program screams for attention and you, at last, do not react. This is the real initiation. To stay when nothing moves. To trust that the invisible is already building you, because boredom isn't emptiness. It's the moment before creation decides what you'll become. The silence we just entered isn't empty, it's fertile. That stillness you resist is the same environment every miracle begins in. Picture the seed, hidden beneath the soil. To the impatient eye, it looks inert, lifeless, forgotten. Yet beneath that darkness, a silent explosion is underway. Cells dividing, codes awakening, roots mapping the unseen. Nothing appears to move, yet everything essential is happening. Boredom is that same underground phase of the soul. You think you've stalled, but in truth, you've descended into the workshop of transformation. The ego hates it because it can't measure progress. There are no numbers, no feedback, no applause. But the field thrives in this quiet. It uses stillness as its laboratory. You may notice how, in those long stretches of nothing, insights suddenly bloom from nowhere, ideas, memories, a knowing without logic. That's germination in consciousness. There's a deeper pattern here. Every evolutionary leap, whether in nature, art, or spirit, emerges after an apparent dormancy. The caterpillar doesn't rush its metamorphosis. It dissolves inside the cocoon until form itself reorganizes. Human consciousness follows the same rhythm. After intensity comes the pause. After striving comes surrender. That lull you interpret as loss is actually incubation. Yet the cultural current runs the other way. We're told to optimize, accelerate, keep climbing. But you can't ascend every hour of the day without fracturing the signal. The universe's design includes silence, pauses, plateaus. Without them, no integration occurs. Imagine playing a symphony with no rests between notes, just noise. No music. Your life, too, needs those pauses to harmonize. So the question isn't, why am I bored, but what is ripening in me that requires darkness? What part of your identity is germinating unseen? The longer you can dwell in that quiet soil, the stronger the new root system becomes. In the quantum view, coherence builds when energy ceases to scatter. Like soil compressing around a seed, stillness concentrates potential. The more you fight it, the shallower your growth. The more you surrender, the deeper your roots extend. Look closer at your recent still phases. Weren't they always followed by sudden clarity? A realization, a calling, a pivot you didn't plan but somehow recognized as inevitable. That's the seed surfacing after patient gestation. But here's the paradox. The seed doesn't climb toward light out of effort. It moves because expansion is encoded in it. Your consciousness operates the same way. It doesn't have to make the next version of you. It simply remembers it. In silence, in that soil state, time distorts. You may feel detached from purpose, but what's really dissolving is your linear perception of progress. Quantum creation doesn't unfold in steps. It emerges in leaps. When readiness reaches coherence, the timeline cracks open. Until then, the universe holds you underground, not as punishment, but precision. It's aligning infinite data to birth a reality worthy of your next frequency. And while you wait, something delicate forms trust. Trust in what can't yet be seen, in processes invisible but undeniable. This is faith beyond religion, faith as physics. Every root stretching in darkness is an act of trust. Every breath you take in stillness signals to the field, I'm here. I'm ready to sprout when the light calls. So when the boredom returns, remember the soil. Don't dig up the seed to check if it's growing. Don't rush the darkness because you miss the sun. Stay underground until the pressure builds into inevitability. Because when you emerge, you won't just grow, you'll erupt. You'll break through with the quiet power that only stillness can forge. The next time your life feels paused, remember beneath the surface, the miracle is already writing its first root. And just as the seed cannot force its own flowering, you don't need to force your becoming. You only need to remain still enough to let the field finish sculpting what's next. The seed finally breaks through, and as light meets it, something curious happens. It begins to mirror its environment. The quality of its growth depends on what surrounds it: light, air, temperature, attention. Consciousness works the same way. Your inner stillness becomes the mirror that determines what form your outer world assumes. This is where the quantum mirror reveals itself. Reality doesn't move because you push. It moves because you observe. Your awareness, not your effort, is the creative force. In physics, they call it the observer effect. The moment attention is given, potential collapses into matter. Yet the deeper mystery lies in how you observe. Because attention charged with desperation bends the reflection into distortion, while attention steeped in calm coherence produces clarity. When you stare into the quantum mirror with agitation, reality shatters into fragments of the same noise you project. But when you gaze with neutrality, with the still gaze of someone who no longer demands, who simply witnesses, your field stabilizes. The reflection reorganizes. You stop chasing form and begin communing with potential. This is the art of mirrored creation. Think about how mirrors behave. They never argue with the image. They never try to change what stands before them. They simply reflect what is without judgment, without effort. Now imagine your consciousness as that mirror. Every time you react with fear, judgment, or impatience, the mirror ripples and warps the reflection. But when you remain still, the image becomes clear enough for new light to enter. That is coherence, the sacred clarity of an undisturbed lake. The quantum field listens for that signal. It doesn't respond to action. It responds to resonance. When your energy is scattered across worry, striving, and noise, the field cannot decode you. But when you still yourself enough to become a single frequency, unhurried, unfractured, the universe recognizes you as a match for creation. That's why miracles often follow surrender. Not because surrender pleases some cosmic power, but because it creates a clear channel for translation between thought and form. It's tempting to think you must do observation, that you must focus harder, meditate longer, visualize stronger, but the quantum mirror isn't activated through intensity, it's revealed through transparency. To look without needing, to observe without grasping. This is the hardest lesson for the human ego, which equates attention with control. But control clouds reflection. Only presence cleanses the glass. In practical terms, this means your daily life is your laboratory. When frustration rises, can you stay as witness instead of judge? When uncertainty tightens your chest, can you breathe into still awareness rather than reach for distraction? Each act of non-reaction polishes the mirror. Each moment of quiet observation refines your field's coherence. Soon you'll begin to notice something uncanny, the world around you echoing your internal state. People calm down in your presence. Events align without strain. You walk into rooms and feel timelines rearranging, not because you willed them to, but because your coherence commanded it. That is the quantum mirror reflecting you back to yourself. There's a line of ancient wisdom that whispers the same truth in softer language: be still and know. In physics, that knowing becomes data. In spirit, it becomes revelation. And in your lived experience, it becomes a new timeline crystallizing out of nowhere. No struggle, no forcing, just alignment unfolding naturally. So the next time you feel the pull to fix what's breaking, remember the mirror. Your task isn't to repair the reflection, it's to clear the surface. When you polish your awareness into stillness, the image takes care of itself. And one day, without warning, you'll realize that what you've been observing has become who you are. The mirror stands still, but around it, the world trembles with noise. This is where the challenge begins. Because while your essence longs for silence, your conditioning craves stimulation. Every ping, scroll, and flash of novelty feeds a nervous system that has forgotten how to rest. We were raised in worship of motion, our worth measured in output, our meaning quantified in metrics. Stillness was branded laziness, boredom equated to failure. And so we became stimulation addicts, constantly refreshing, reloading, reaching for the next spark to prove we're still alive. But the cost of that constant noise is coherence. You cannot hear the field when your attention fractures every 3 seconds. Consider how modern life trains the mind. You sit in silence and the impulse appears. Check something, scroll somewhere, fill the gap. That twitch isn't random, it's withdrawal. Your dopamine system has been rewired to equate rest with threat. The moment boredom arises, the brain scrambles for distraction because silence feels like death to the ego. In truth, it's only death to its illusion of control. This cultural addiction is no small glitch. It's the great interference pattern of our age. Each notification is a quantum disturbance, scattering the signal of your field. Every time you react instead of remain, you decohere. Energy that could have built a new reality leaks into endless micro-reactions. You think you're multitasking, but you're really dividing your vibration. And divided vibration cannot create coherent manifestation. That's why boredom feels unbearable. It threatens the entire architecture of your identity. The part of you built on validation and busyness begins to crumble when nothing demands attention. Yet that collapse is liberation disguised as discomfort. When you stop feeding the craving for stimulation, you're not losing excitement. You're reclaiming sovereignty. You're training your nervous system to operate on inner rhythm, not outer triggers. There's science here too. When your brain is overstimulated, the prefrontal cortex, your center of insight, goes offline. But when input quiets, the default mode network activates, connecting memory, intuition, and creativity in ways no algorithm can simulate. The ancients called it contemplation. Neuroscientists call it integration. Either way, the moment you unplug, the deeper architecture of intelligence turns on. So here's a practice you can feel immediately. Next time boredom arises, resist the reflex to fill it. Watch the discomfort without fixing it. You may feel agitation crawl through your body like static. Breathe anyway. That's the old programming losing its grip. The first time you endure 5 unfilled minutes, you'll notice your thoughts racing like children denied sugar. The second time, they quiet sooner. The third, they start to listen. And within that listening, revelation begins. This is how stimulation detox rewires destiny. Because each moment of silence recodes your field. The more you endure, the more sensitive you become, not fragile, but tuned. You'll start to sense energy behind words, the subtext of emotions, the hum of possibility in spaces others call empty. You'll walk through the same world, but hear a different frequency. The field doesn't get louder, you get clearer, and then something astonishing happens. The things you used to chase begin to find you. Opportunities, insights, connections, they start orbiting your stillness, not as reward, but as resonance. The universe always mirrors the nervous system that mirrors it back. When you are still, the field can finally read your signal without distortion. So ask yourself, how many of your desires were born from overstimulation? How much of your restlessness is just detox disguised as drive? This isn't judgment, it's revelation, because every urge to fill the void is a chance to face the very silence that could make you whole. You break the addiction not by fleeing stimulation, but by choosing stillness while it calls, by standing in the storm of noise and hearing, beneath it, the whisper that says, "Come home." That whisper is the field, and the moment you listen, you begin to remember what undistracted power feels like. You've stepped out of the storm, and suddenly the quiet feels unfamiliar, almost too vast to hold. Yet beneath that hush, an orchestra of biology begins to awaken. Silence is not the absence of activity, it's the shift of activity inward. And this is where the science of stillness reveals its blueprint. When the mind stops chasing stimulation, the brain reconfigures. Neuroscientists call it the default mode network, a constellation of regions that lights up. Paradoxically, when you are doing nothing, it's the neural space of memory, imagination, and self-reflection, the backstage of consciousness where integration takes place. Here, fragments of experience are threaded into coherence. Here, intuition emerges from chaos, connecting dots too subtle for logic to reach. You may think your deepest breakthroughs arrive during effort, but the truth is, they're completed in rest. The inventor's aha, the artist's clarity, the mystic's revelation all gestate in stillness. It's as if your brain, when free from constant input, opens a hidden channel to universal intelligence. The outer world dims so the inner circuitry can glow. Meanwhile, your heart joins the conversation. The HeartMath Institute has shown that when the heart enters coherence, its rhythm steady, its frequency smooth, the brain synchronizes with it. This state amplifies intuition and emotional intelligence. It's measurable harmony between body and mind. And how is it achieved? Not through pressure, but through presence. Slow breathing, quiet awareness, boredom fully embraced. In that lull, electromagnetic fields expand outward several feet, broadcasting calm into the environment itself. You're not just feeling peace, you're radiating it. Even your nervous system rewrites its code. Stillness activates the parasympathetic branch, the body's natural repair mode. Heart rate lowers, cortisol drops, inflammation subsides. This is why healing, insight, and regeneration all prefer silence. It's not mystical, wishful thinking. It's physiology obeying physics. Your cells, like quantum particles, thrive in coherence. Noise scrambles the pattern. Stillness restores it. And if you peer deeper into quantum theory, the parallel becomes undeniable. Particles exist in superposition, many possibilities overlapping until observed. The observer's steady gaze collapses potential into one tangible state. But observation isn't merely looking, it's holding space with coherence. The same happens in your consciousness. When you observe your life from frantic expectation, the wave collapses into more chaos. When you observe from still awareness, reality organizes into elegance. This is physics meeting prayer. There's also the field effect, what mystics have called aura, and physicists might describe as an electromagnetic signature. Each emotion alters your frequency. Fear shortens it, chaos fragments it, peace extends it. When you sit in silence long enough, your frequency stabilizes, becoming readable to the quantum field. That's when synchronicities multiply, not because you're summoning them, but because the universe finally knows where to deliver the package. So the next time you dismiss boredom as wasted potential, remember your biology is busy performing alchemy. Neural wiring realigns, hormones recalibrate, energy fields synchronize. You are literally rewiring your universe from the inside out. Let's pause here and breathe into what that means. Doing nothing is not doing nothing. It's participating in the most complex orchestration imaginable, the merging of physics, biology, and consciousness into a single coherent wave. The silence isn't empty. It's coded with instructions for your next reality. You're not missing the signal. You are the signal. Stay in that knowing the next time you grow restless. Listen to the rhythm beneath your heartbeat. Feel the pulse of the field answering back. Every cell, every synapse, every photon around you is listening for one thing: your still coherence. When it finds it, creation begins to hum in unison. That hum is the sound of silence performing science. You've seen the body quiet, the brain synchronize, the field align. Now the silence turns inward toward something far more elusive: identity. Boredom has stripped the noise, the doing, the stimulation, and what's left begins to tremble. Because beneath the layers of habit and role, you start to sense how much of you was just movement in disguise. The achiever, the seeker, the one who must always be in process. These are costumes consciousness wears to feel secure. But when nothing demands performance, who remains? That question is not philosophical, it's surgical. Stillness operates like a scalpel, cutting through the fiction of self until only presence remains. At first it feels like loss. You may feel detached, directionless, even frightened. Your thoughts echo, I'm wasting time or I'm disappearing. But what's truly dissolving is the addiction to identification. You're not dying, you're shedding. The ego panics because boredom denies it purpose. It cannot measure progress in silence, cannot prove its worth without tasks. So it creates noise, mental chatter, emotional storms to remind itself that it exists. But if you resist the reflex to re-enter the story, a strange calm arises. You begin to feel the space between thoughts, not the content inside them. That gap, that wordless awareness, is who you've always been. This dissolution is mirrored in nature. The snake must grow still before it sheds its skin. The star must collapse before it becomes light. You, too, must experience the implosion of old identity to expand into the infinite. Boredom isn't the death of purpose, it's the death of persona, the unraveling of the false self that thought it had to keep the universe spinning. Let's be honest, it hurts. Silence confronts you with everything you've postponed: grief, fatigue, the weight of unprocessed years. But stay. If you can breathe through the discomfort, you'll feel something remarkable. The emotions once unbearable become bearable. The thoughts once threatening become transparent. The ego loses its teeth, because stillness starves the illusion of separation. Psychologically, This is reintegration. Neurons that once fired in repetitive loops of identity begin to quiet. New connections form. The self-image, once tightly wound, starts to open like a lens adjusting to new light. Spiritual traditions call this ego death. Neuroscience calls it neuroplasticity. Either way, it's metamorphosis. And it only happens when you stop running from the void. The field, too, mirrors this unraveling. When the signal of I must collapses, the signal of I am begins to broadcast. The quantum field doesn't respond to personas, it responds to presence. And presence emerges when identity steps aside. That's why manifestations accelerate after deep stillness, because the filter of who I think I am finally stops distorting the transmission. So when boredom arrives and identity starts to tremble, see it not as punishment, but invitation. You're being emptied so you can hold more light. You're being erased from the script you outgrew. You're being rewritten by the field that birthed you. And when you look around and feel like the world no longer recognizes you good, it means the resonance has shifted. The people, patterns, and places that once reflected your old self can no longer match the frequency of your new one. It's uncomfortable, yes, but it's evidence. You're not lost. You're emerging. Stay in the space where no label fits. Let boredom do its quiet surgery. The self you're losing was never the truth. It was a bridge, a costume worn by light to find itself in matter. When the mask falls, the witness remains. And in that witness, still and luminous, the next version of you begins to breathe. From the ashes of the old self rises something astonishing silence that no longer feels empty, but charged. What once felt like boredom now hums with invisible gravity. This is vibrational neutrality, the still frequency that draws reality toward it without effort. Most teachings celebrate excitement, high vibes, emotional intensity, but magnetism doesn't come from noise. It comes from balance. Think of a tuning fork held perfectly still. After resonance, its quiet vibration can make other instruments sing without striking them. That's neutrality. When your energy stops swinging between hope and fear, the field can finally harmonize with you. It's the paradox of attraction. The less you chase, the more reality approaches, because the field reads neutrality as completion. You are no longer signaling lack or urgency. You have become the state of having. And so the universe, bound by coherence, reorganizes around your calm. You've felt this before, even if you didn't name it. The moment you stopped caring whether a call came, and it did. The time you released attachment to an outcome, and the opportunity appeared effortlessly. That wasn't coincidence, it was physics disguised as grace. When the emotional pendulum stops swinging, probability collapses into presence. In quantum terms, coherence means the waves of your energy align in phase, amplifying each other instead of canceling out. Emotionally, that alignment feels like neutrality, not numbness, but a stable, unreactive awareness. You're neither grasping for the future nor resisting the past. You're available, and availability, not intensity, is what the quantum field translates into form. It's easy to misunderstand neutrality as apathy, but true neutrality is radiant. It's the sun not chasing planets, simply existing so steadily that everything orbits it. That's the kind of stillness you cultivate when you let boredom become peace. Your frequency ceases to wobble, and the field, relieved of mixed signals, mirrors you precisely. There's also a nervous system logic here. When you stop oscillating between craving and aversion, the vagus nerve stabilizes. Your heart rhythm evens out. Your breath deepens. Your electromagnetic field expands. People sense it before they understand it. They call it presence, charisma, calm power. It's not charisma, It's coherence made visible. And here's where the paradox deepens. Neutrality doesn't just magnetize, it accelerates manifestation because it removes time from the equation. Time exists only in resistance between wanting and having, striving and surrender. When that tension dissolves, the gap closes. Creation can happen instantly because you're no longer pushing it away with wanting. You've become the state it reflects. To live in neutrality is to become fluent in still creation. You no longer command reality, you converse with it. Each moment arrives already shaped by your steadiness. You move through the world less like a seeker and more like a tuning system. Reality bends to match the tone you sustain. So how do you reach that state? You don't force it, you remember it. It's already the baseline frequency beneath every fluctuation of mood and thought. When you tire of emotional extremes, neutrality greets you like home. It's what remains when reaction collapses. That moment between breaths when you realize nothing is missing. Now pause and feel into that. The boredom that once gnawed at you was simply the echo of this equilibrium calling you back. It wasn't asking you to stop feeling, it was inviting you to feel without distortion. To stand so still that the universe recognizes itself in your stillness. And when that happens, magnetism no longer feels like magic. It feels like inevitability. Because neutrality is not emptiness, it's the gravitational center of your becoming. The field doesn't chase or test or tease you. It listens for this one clear tone. Once it hears it, everything that matches begins to move. And you, perfectly still, become the calm axis around which new realities spin. Neutrality hums beneath your breath, steady as a drumbeat that only awareness can hear. From this silence, the next movement arises not action, but observation. Because neutrality without witnessing is dormancy. Neutrality with attention becomes creation. This is the observer's practice, the art of awareness without interference. It's the skill most of us were never taught. Because the world rewards reaction, not reflection. We've been conditioned to interpret every sensation, to fix every fluctuation, to turn perception into narrative. But the field doesn't need your commentary, it needs your clarity. Observation, pure and unfiltered, is how consciousness collapses potential into precision. Imagine standing at the center of a vast field of probability. Each thought, emotion, and action sends ripples across that quantum lake. The frantic mind splashes, the still mind watches the ripples organize themselves. Every time you observe without judging, the waves settle. And when they settle, they reveal reflections you couldn't see before, subtle directions, intuitive nudges, timelines aligning quietly in the background. Observation isn't passive, it's participatory awareness. Attention so complete that it reorganizes reality through coherence. When you look at a situation without grasping for meaning, you release resistance. When you look at yourself without judgment, you release distortion. And in those releases, energy once trapped in analysis becomes available for manifestation. There's a paradox here worth living. The less you interpret, the more you understand. The less you intervene, the more you influence, because the act of pure observation stabilizes the quantum field around you. It's as if existence itself exhales, relieved to finally be seen without demand. Start small. When an emotion rises, name it softly: anger, fear, excitement, but don't feed it with story. Let it pass like weather. When a thought arrives, watch it as you would a cloud crossing sky. The moment you can see the thought, instead of be the thought, you become the observer. And from that vantage, timelines bend. You can practice this in traffic, in conversation, in solitude. Every moment offers a mirror. You'll notice how your awareness alters the behavior of the world around you, just like the double-slit experiment in physics. Particles behave differently under observation, not because they're performing, but because presence itself carries organizing power. Your life, too, rearranges when it's witnessed consciously. This is why manifestation rooted in control often fails. It's trying to sculpt the wave instead of see it clearly. True creation begins when you become the stable lens through which reality comes into focus. You stop shouting instructions at the universe and start listening to its language of alignment. Stillness becomes your tool, and curiosity your compass. You begin to sense micro-shifts, the way your energy influences a room, the way silence invites honesty, the way calm reorganizes chaos. Every observation is data to the field. And when your data carries coherence, no judgment, no craving, the universe updates accordingly. You may think you're doing nothing, yet invisible architecture builds around you. Opportunities crystallize, synchronicities cluster, people show up precisely when they're meant to. You'll call it flow, but it's simply observation doing what action never could, translating awareness into design. So sit, breathe, and watch your world with the reverence of a scientist and the awe of a mystic. Do not rush to name what's forming. The field loves patience. Each moment you observe without reacting, there is a moment your next timeline assembles in secret. And when it finally reveals itself, you'll realize you didn't create it, you allowed it to be seen. That's the real alchemy of observation. Creation without manipulation, power without control, presence that turns potential into reality, quietly, inevitably, like dawn appearing where there was only night. You've learned to observe without clinging, to see without steering. Now the field invites you deeper from philosophy into embodiment, because understanding stillness is one thing, living it is another. This is where the practice becomes ritual. The ritual of nothingness begins with a choice, simple, radical, and almost unbearable at first, to do absolutely nothing on purpose. No agenda, no improvement plan, no trying to relax, just presence, naked and unmeasured. It sounds easy until you meet the resistance hiding under the skin. Within minutes, the mind protests. This is pointless. I should be productive. That is the detox. You're watching the ego go through withdrawal from stimulation. Create your container a space not sacred by decor, but by decision. Turn off the hum of the world. Sit in a posture both alert and relaxed, like a mountain listening for rain. Close your eyes if you wish, or keep them softly open. Breathe as if the universe breathes through you. No rhythm to control, no mantra to chase, just the awareness of awareness. Then wait. Boredom will rise first, a restless tide. Let it. Observe the body's itch to move, the mind's urge to explain. Every wave of discomfort is an old frequency leaving your system. Stay until the storm quiets. Stay longer, because beyond the boredom lies a silence so dense it hums. That hum is your field recalibrating. Next comes the identity loop, the subtle panic that says, if I'm not doing, who am I? This is the ghost of the old self, trying to reassert form. Let it scream, let it fade. Each breath erases another line of the false story. You're not suppressing thought. You're starving identification. When stillness deepens, awareness begins to expand beyond the skin. You feel the body as a cluster of sensations floating in vastness. Then even sensation blurs into space. You become the space boundless, neutral, awake. In that moment, the field recognizes itself through you. There is no separation between observer and observed, no distance between desire and fulfillment. It's all one vibration holding its breath. End the ritual gently. Whisper, if you wish. A single phrase, I am tuned to the stillness where all things begin. Not an affirmation, but a declaration of coherence. You're signaling to your cells, your field, your timeline that the new baseline is calm availability. Carry that signal into motion. Walk slower, speak softer. Notice the pause between sounds, the gap between gestures. That's the same silence you met in meditation, now woven into life. Over time, this ritual stops feeling like an event and starts becoming your default setting. You'll find yourself responding instead of reacting, creating instead of chasing, because stillness follows you like an aura. People will tell you that you seem lighter, clearer, more magnetic. They'll feel it before they understand it. The field of nothingness made visible. This is the quiet mastery of doing nothing. The paradox that reshapes worlds' inactivity as alignment, surrender as signal. Each session strengthens your coherence until even chaos obeys your calm. You realize that miracles are not summoned. They emerge naturally from uncluttered awareness. So keep returning to the ritual, not to achieve enlightenment, but to remember what you already are. Because in the vast expanse of nothing, the blueprint of everything waits. And when you're still enough, it begins to move through you, effortless, graceful, inevitable. Nothingness isn't the end of action, it's the birthplace of inspired motion. Sit with that truth until it breathes you. Then rise, not as the doer, but as the field in form ready to create by being. The ritual ends, but the silence doesn't. It lingers in the breath, woven through the pulse of the ordinary. Now the question arises, what happens after the nothing? What remains when you've emptied yourself so completely that even the desire to awaken dissolves? This is the 0 point, the center of the field, where all polarities collapse. No push, no pull, no past, no future, just awareness suspended in equilibrium. Here, energy stops oscillating and begins to radiate. It's the stillness before creation, the frequency the universe itself rests within between every act of becoming. You may not notice it immediately. At first, it feels like fragile quiet, like walking on the thin ice of peace, but the longer you remain, the more you sense the solidity underneath. This isn't fragile, it's fundamental. Everything that exists emerges from this 0 point. And now you know it not as concept, but as experience. In this state, reality becomes responsive, not because you control it, but because you've stopped interfering with it. The field moves effortlessly around neutrality, like water flowing toward open space. Decisions feel lighter, synchronicities accelerate, resistance loses its teeth. You find yourself saying less, needing less, and somehow receiving more. That's the paradox of return. The less you grasp, the more you gather. At the 0 point, you also begin to understand creation's hidden symmetry. Every timeline, every possibility exists here simultaneously. Your awareness selects one not by will, but by frequency. The calmer the frequency, the clearer the selection. You don't force outcomes, you tune into them. And tuning requires only one discipline: remaining still enough to hear the signal. But the journey doesn't end in abstraction. The 0 point is not escape from life, it's re-entry with new gravity. Once you've touched it, everything ordinary becomes luminous. You walk through crowds and feel the pulse of the field in every face. You hear silence humming beneath the noise of the city. You sense the intelligence inside coincidence. You realize that stillness was never meant to isolate you. It was meant to recalibrate you for participation. Now the act of living becomes the meditation. Every gesture carries the same coherence you cultivated in boredom. Every conversation becomes a transmission of neutrality. You no longer need the world to confirm your alignment. Your presence confirms it to the world. Even challenge feels different. It no longer drags you out of peace. It draws more peace through you. That's how timelines shift quietly, one stable vibration altering the probability landscape around it. Return, then, is not regression, it's embodiment. You come back to the visible world as an invisible influence. Your calm becomes contagious, your neutrality becomes guidance. And as others mirror your steadiness, a new collective field forms, less frantic, more aware. This is how the evolution of consciousness actually spreads, through coherence, not conversion. So here you stand back in the same room, in the same life. Yet nothing is the same, because now you recognize the hum beneath it all. You see that boredom was never a void, but a doorway. Stillness was never stagnation, but structure assembling in silence. The field was never distant. It was waiting for you to stop making noise long enough to hear it. When you touch that recognition, gratitude floods naturally. Not gratitude as emotion, but as frequency, the soft radiance of I am. You realize the power you sought was always the quietest one, presence itself. And from this 0 point, creation begins again. But now, without struggles, you don't start the next chapter, you emanate it. Everything changes, yet nothing was forced. This is the mystery you've been training to remember. Do nothing and everything moves. Be still and the universe finds you. The 0 point fades gently into the rhythm of your ordinary life, like dawn dissolving the stars. You find yourself breathing slower, not because you're trying to calm down, but because calm has become your native language. This is the quiet after the storm, the afterglow of doing nothing and discovering that everything has already shifted. Boredom, once your adversary, now feels like an invitation. You no longer rush to escape it. You welcome it as proof that the field is clearing a new space for creation. Stillness is no longer something you practice. It's what you are, and when the world pulls at you to hurry, you hear the deeper pulse beneath the noise, steady, patient, infinite. The mind will forget. It will crave motion again, crave stories and stimulation. That's natural. But somewhere in the background, this memory of stillness will remain your private sanctuary, the frequency of home. Whenever life tangles you back into effort, return to that space between breaths. Let silence re-enter through the cracks of your busy day. Because the lesson was never about abandoning action. It was about remembering where action is born. When you move from stillness, movement becomes grace. When you speak from silence, words carry weight. When you create from neutrality, creation feels effortless. So tonight, if restlessness visits, don't fight it. Sit with it. Let boredom unfold like a hand opening to receive. Listen for the hum behind it, the same hum that's been whispering through every moment of this journey. You are the stillness you've been seeking. That's the hidden power of doing nothing. It doesn't end the story, it begins the real one. And in that silence, your next timeline is already breathing, waiting, patient, certain, because you've finally become still enough to hear it.